practitioner and Toastmaster, Bonnie Cassan.
Well, thank you. And you don't know how special you guys are. Thank you for having me come and speak. And you are all going to do the whole 9 yards. You're the first group of massage therapists that has said by your leader that you're willing to lie down on the floor and really participate in this experience. So thank you. Thank you for all being here, and thank you very much. Tonight, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about me, and then go into a little bit about Feldenkrais, and then a little bit into the touch to inform and how Feldenkrais concepts can be used by you as massage therapists in your workplace, as you work, and how it can inform you so that you find yourself enhancing your ability to help people, particularly tonight, with problems with their back, so that we can maintain a flexible spine, so that we don't get problems with our back. So a little bit about me. First of all, I have a master's degree in physical education, dance, and from that, I got interested in dance therapy. And from dance therapy, the body-mind connection, I was introduced to Feldenkrais. Now, I didn't know anything about Feldenkrais. The first thing I experienced was me lying down on the floor and falling asleep. A couple of weeks later, I found myself rolling out of bed as freely and effortlessly as I could imagine. And it was enough to really shock me and say, this is different. I mean, here I am, a master's in dance, and I've never experienced myself moving as freely as that. So I said, there's something to this. So I started exploring more about the Feldenkrais because I was curious. And then Moshe Feldenkrais came and did a training program an hour away from me, up in Amherst, Massachusetts, and that was back in 1980. So, of course, I knew that there was something to this that was different, so I had to follow that. At the same time, I was in massage school and getting a massage license. So I was always combining Feldenkrais with my massage from the get-go. Now, a little bit about Feldenkrais. Feldenkrais, for those of you who don't know, how many of you have heard of Feldenkrais or know anything about Feldenkrais? Oh, we're going to try your little clicker. How many of you have heard of Feldenkrais? Yes, you've all heard of it because you're here. And how many of you have experienced it, either in a class situation or an individual lesson? Not too much. So what have you heard of it? Slow, gentle maybe posture. Maybe for some people I know, they feel as though it only works with people who are really severely brain damaged. So it's only an individual lesson. But what's interesting is there are two parts. There's a class, there's a group class like slow yoga, or there's a individual lesson where I use touch to help you become aware of it. But both of them are intended to help you become personally more aware of yourself and how you're doing. So I'm talking about Moshe Feldenkrais because I put all this up there because you can start to see maybe where his thinking was. He was an Israeli mechanical engineer. He was a research physicist with the Curies, working on nuclear fission. And the folklore was that when the Germans invaded Paris, he took the material of the Curies over to England, to Scotland, and worked on the submarines in Scotland during World War II. But he had a knee problem, and he developed a method that he realized couldn't just be mechanically fixed, but he had to search how he learned, where our patterns are. So he became more interested in not just the tight muscle, but the pattern that's involved, the pattern that the tight muscle is part of. So, oops, what do I have to do here?
Is it on?
Should you turn it on?
Is it on?
There's a power button right there. There's a power
Left-hand
button.
side, there's a power button.
Okay, so these are the two forms. You lie on the floor, like you're going to be doing, or, oh, I see. That's a nice and or you do some individual work. Okay, and we'll go back to this. Now the key thing is, the thing that he was known for and he's been known for is this idea that he believed way back in the 70s and the 60s and the 70s about neuroplasticity. Now you've all heard that word before recently, right? And the idea is that the brain can change itself. In 2009, Norman Deutsch came out with a book called The Brain That Changes Itself. So I ask you now, where were you in 1980 and 81? Remember? Reagan was just, some of you weren't born. So Reagan was just coming into office. The Iran crisis was just finishing up. And the Nobel Prize to scientists went to these two men who absolutely declared that if the brain gets damaged, if the nerve gets damaged, there is no hope for changing. 1980 and 81. 1980 and 81, I was on the floor in Amherst, Massachusetts, while Moshe demonstrated neuroplasticity with this little girl who came into him, and the medical community had said she was brain dead. And what he did was he started using his thinking, his method, to start using movements, helping this child feel, not that she could do the movements, but helping this child feel the movements of the knee coming to the hand, so that she could develop those wirings that she had missed because her brain had been damaged in some way, and she wasn't able to do those normal wirings that a child with a healthy brain can do. So he was demonstrating that. That was 30 years ago. Today, Elizabeth, and if you Google Feldenkrais and Elizabeth, you'll see a fantastic story. And she's 30 years old, married, and has 2 master's degrees. And that's all because he thought that if we can feel those movements, you start to develop the wirings that are missing so much, that are so developed in early childhood. So the neuroplasticity is something I grew up with. I've been living with for 30-some odd years. Now, the third thing that we're going to talk about tonight is the seminars that I do called Touch to Inform, that are using concepts that I've learned from the Feldenkrais method to help you as massage therapists. And tonight, the idea is a flexible spine. So, from my point of view, if your spine wants to be free and is able to be free, sitting between your pelvis and your head, right? First thing you need are free hip sockets. So, free hip sockets. Second thing you need is an easy chest, because if your chest is up here, there's no way that this is ever going to soften. Your chest has to soften so that your whole spine can move and it can be distributed. The effort can be distributed throughout your whole spine. Because why? As massage therapists, you all know that the thoracic area, this area right in here, the vertebrae themselves are the ones that can rotate the most. If you don't have any movement up here, you're going to over-rotate in your lower back, and that's what you have problems with. Or in your neck, and then you start to have problems. So you need to know that you have a spine. So if we walk around like this, you don't know you have a spine, right? The spine has to be moving for you to know that you have a spine. And then you need to know where your pelvis is tonight, right? You need to know where it's sitting, whether it's supporting you. And all of you, as you're sitting there, are you being supported by your skeleton, or are you being supported by your chair? Okay, so now, notice that most of you have your back against the chair. That means you're being supported by the chair, not your skeleton. So if you could, move your chairs back from the table. Find yourself coming up to the edge of your chair and see, can you sit on that chair and feel your pelvis supporting your spine and supporting it, right? Yes. Now notice what's moving when you inhale and exhale, because awareness is also a big key thing that we're doing in Feldenkrais. All right, so now notice your breathing. And then the other thing that is interesting for me is that the fact that anatomically, again, it's easy to think about what the back needs to do, what the muscles need to do, what you need to do to be perfect, right? But the complexity of of each of us as human beings, we've all learned different ways of learning. We've all learned different patterns. And so when you're working mechanically with people, you also have to take into consideration, how did you learn? How did you get into that pattern to begin with? And how can we maybe make a change through the brain in that way? So what I look for is the patterns of action, what is being overused. So is it your lower back that's being overused? Is it your neck that's being overused? What is being underused? And that's usually in this area, thoracic area. And then I'm going to look for a clear image of flow, sense of bones. And so here I am with the skeleton, and I'm working with the leg, making sure the hip socket's free. Can you see? Right down in here. And then I'm saying, oh, the leg is connected to the spine. And how can I get that back into your brain so that you start to feel all of those things? Okay, so now, as you're sitting at the edge of your chair, thank you very much for doing that, I'm going to ask you now to just think about, again, how you're breathing, and now just, if you would, just stand up and see how you feel standing. Now you get to that point of standing. Good. Now, sit back down again at the edge of your chair, if you can. Put one hand behind the back of your neck, and put the back of your hand behind your back. Now, I'm asking you to sense, is there tension in your muscles back there? Or how much tension? Maybe do a degree of 1 to 10 for yourself. And now pay attention to your neck. Is there tension there? Now, stand up. And notice, is there a change in the tension in your back when you stand up or in the change in your neck? Sit back down again and try that again. Is there tension? Do you use your back or do you use your neck? Is there more tension when you're standing up than at the moment? Okay, try it again and see what happens. Yes, no, maybe, you might feel it. Okay, now try to sit down without putting tension into your back. I'm going to assume that you all are feeling tension in your back when you stand up. And now come back down. Okay? Try it again. Now try to stand up without putting any tension into your back. And you need to mechanically think of your skeleton coming forward. And then as you sit back down, you need to mechanically think about your pelvis going back before you bring the rest of you back. So try sitting back, sit back, and see if you can breathe and move at the same time. So one of the things about the neck is, let's let go of the neck because that might hurt somebody's shoulders. But try one more time, saying no the whole time. See if you can keep your head going, no, 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 and stand up. And as soon as you stop it, you're tightening your neckline. So again, as you sit back down, see if you can keep the movement going and sit back down. So that you don't, make sure you don't tighten your neck muscles. Well, anyway, so this is a little bit of an idea of how we overuse our back and our neck unnecessarily every day. And how your clients do as well. Because you can do the perfect massage and get them so perfectly aligned, they're going to go back to their old habits. Why? Because our brain likes our preferences. It likes the way we do what we do because that's how our brain likes to do it. It likes to come back. It's a system. It likes to come back to a natural harmony. And whether the harmony is good or not, it likes to come back to it. That's what the system is. And people who are neurologically damaged also. But the big thing is a living brain really likes to learn. That's why you're listening to me so well. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay, so now here's our ideal. This is our optimal. They're sitting in their bones. They don't have any needs for support of any place else but their bones. They've got their pelvis, they know where their legs are, they have a back that's supporting their head. So, Feldenkrais itself is a huge topic. I can't cover that in an hour and a half, 2 hours. But there are 4 things that I'd like to hopefully go over with you. The brain, the bones, 6 degrees of separation, what I call 6 degrees of separation, which is that idea that if you're moving your leg, you're also moving your back. So how can we distribute the effort? And then the idea of touch to observe, touch to inform. So what time is it? Do I have a time?
15.
15? Oh, just 15? Okay. So the first principle is the brain. Now, as massage therapists, how many of you, when you massage someone, think of the brain? And most of them say no. So then I say, but you do. You lower the lights, you put music on, you try to quiet the nervous system that is the fight or flight nervous system. Okay, we're going a step further in Feldenkrais and trying to make those connections, make those new connections that are cognitive. But the idea is that through these cognitive things, we're trying to create maps, an image of action. And what is a map? Okay, so this is the map that was in the 1940s that a brilliant scientist at Moshe understood, took his book and said, oh, this is kind of neat. And if you look at it, this is the sensory experience. This is how many nerve endings we have. So our tongue, babies suck on everything, right? They're putting their tongue on it. Why? Because they learn from putting their tongue on things. It has a lot of nerve endings. The lips do. The eyes do. The thumb and the hands have a lot of nerve endings. But look at our little torso, that back area. It's not represented in our brain at all. Now again, this is back in the 40s. It's evolved a little bit, but no one really understood that. But Feldenkrais based his whole theory on this, or his whole process on this. So how does an action develop a map? By using function. The more we use our mouth, the more we use our fingers, the more it gets mapped in our brain. And what's exciting about being part of the Feldenkrais community now is that the MRIs of the last 10 years are showing, oh yeah, we do map. He's right. That the more we move things, the more it's represented by blood going to different parts of the brain. That's mapping in the brain. So a pianist uses their 5 fingers. It's very differentiated, has a lot of red, has a lot of blood going into that part. They type it for, say, a week. It's not used at all. So you use it or you lose it, right? And so now it's gone and they're mapping. They're seeing that with the MRIs now. You take the tape off and they still don't use it for a while. It's still not coming back until they start to use it. So it's a changeable map, but it is about use. The more you use it, the more you have it represented in your brain, the more you'll continue to use it. The less we use it, the less it's represented in our brain, the less we use it. Okay, so now the principle of bones. I already asked you to do a little bit of the bones, right? So again, do we use our bones as support? And it's the idea and the belief of Feldenkrais that it's the bones moving that we're going to help the brain map. It's not so much a muscle moving, not all your exercise that just gets the muscle moving, but it's the bones and the relationship of one to the other that'll create the map. So, 6 degrees of separation, I talked about that, and that's the same thing that I used as here. This idea that you're going to, and this is the position I'm going to ask you to be in when you're on the floor. And then this idea of touch to inform. So now comes the question, touch to inform. Can you all please stand up again? You would. And now turn to your partner, and one person's back and the other person's hands on their shoulder blades. Do you know where their shoulder blades are? Can you find their shoulder blades? Below, lower, lower, lower. Yeah, see, it's nice. It's got that nice rounded thing. Your hand can cup right around it. Okay, person in front, just reach with one hand and feel the shoulder blade move or not, and then come back. And then reach with the other hand. Does the shoulder blade move or not? So those that are you behind are noticing that. Person in front, are you noticing it? Okay, so their touch is informing you about you. Turn around and try it with your other partner. So this is the idea. You don't have to do a lot. Ultimately, yes, we want those muscles to relax and so that you can feel that sequential action going. But at the same time, right now, the idea is touch to inform. And so that's where I'm headed for the rest of the seminar.